Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Ear Hustle Podcast, Season 3, Episode 22. It's your boy James, Patrick, and Prince. We're not going to let y'all introduce yourself. Everyone know y'all. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's up?
What's happening?
Listen, we got a great show on the agenda. We're gonna skip over our first normal segment of shooting the shit. Patrick, remind me, we can't say that, right?
Well, yeah, we can. And plus, we want to add our guests in here because my face is really big right now on the screen, and I don't really love it. So
our guest is not going to make you lose weight. That's for sure.
Well, they can make my little smaller, a little smaller.
Got you. All right, let's bring in our guest.
That's 3 little Patrick. He's
Look at this.
Yeah.
Derek's already not listening.
We're bringing to the stage. We got Derek and Brian, former veterans, former Marines. Thank you guys for your service. Welcome to the show. First off,
time out. Thank you, boys, for your service. Thank you, gentlemen, both for your service. Appreciate it.
We got Randy and Greg. They've been on the show several times. Welcome back. You guys probably can host this show yourself. You've been on so many times. Welcome back.
Great to be here.
Greg, you're
awesome.
muted.
All right, I'll unmute. There we go.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you.
No problem. And we got Tim. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good to see you.
Same.
Good to see you too.
So, guys, let's start out here. And Tim, you were the last person to be introduced, so let's start with you. And this is going to be for everyone, just something very, very brief. I would like for you to all, once again, thanks for joining the show. I would like for you to all just to kind of give a brief information on you all, where you're from. I would love to hear what party you affiliate yourself with, if there's a party affiliation, and what your plans are for this upcoming election. Do you plan to vote party, or are you planning on voting something else? So just kind of brief intro there. Tim, let's start with you.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I'm Tim Fullerton. I've been a Democratic political guy for a long time. Worked on the first Obama campaign in 2008. Worked in his administration for 5 years. Worked for the previous governor of New York, and I'm currently one of the guys doing the White Dudes for Harris. So you could probably assume who I'll be voting. Well, I've already voted, but you could assume who I'm going to be voting for this year. But thanks for having me on.
Awesome. We got Pastor Lorenzo Sewell just joining us. Thank you, Pastor, for joining. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. We'll come to you in a second here, Pastor. Greg, let's come back to you.
Sure. I'm kind of on the opposite side of Tim, career-wise. I worked in the first Bush administration, Bush 41. I've run several statewide campaigns. John Huntsman for governor of Utah. Bob Bennett, who was a senator from Utah. I was his first chief of staff. And my first job in politics, well, I ran a couple of congressional campaigns, and then I was the executive director of the Republican Party for Utah, which was kind of my first professional job. So I have a deep and long Republican background. I'm an independent these days, and I am supporting Harris.
Okay, thank you. Randy?
Hey, I am a Democrat. I've run for Congress twice in Utah as a Democrat. And I've got a great job right now where I get to go into the jails and prisons in Utah and teach men how to be better fathers and better men. And I love it. And Pastor Sewell, I'm excited to hear from you because I watched your video at the National Republican Convention, and I saw you were from East Detroit. And that's where I met Eric, and I miss Eric tonight, but my friend from Detroit. We were in a little church on Mack and Connor over in East Detroit. So I miss Detroit. But I'm glad to be here, and I'm supporting Harris.
All right, awesome. Brian, let's come to you next, sir.
All right, Brian Jackson, for those who didn't hear me earlier, from Southeast Texas, just a local, just average all-field guy. I'm pretty much always affiliate myself with whoever's going to support the all-field industry, at the end of the day. That's what supports my family, and that's what supports my community around. So, as you can tell, I'm Trump all the way.
Okay. Derek?
Can you center your camera for me, Brian? Just because I
I'm
want to see more
trying.
than just half of your face, buddy. I mean, I you know,
Let me
there
see.
you go. I mean, you can move your head too, not just your camera. But hey, I love you. All right, go ahead, Derek. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
All right, guys. Hey, I'm Derek McGuire. For y'all that wasn't here earlier when we introduced ourselves, there's a couple of us in the room. I grew up in a small town in Arkansas, rice farming, corn, soybean. That's small town life. Real rural area, one stoplight in the whole county. I mean, real small town. Grew up a Democrat. It was Democrat everything. I guess over the years, being in the Marine Corps, I considered myself a Republican at times, real conservative sided. But over the years, I've passed off more to the libertarian side. I'm real about limiting that scope size of the government and just all that overreach. That's really my big political issues, is just keeping that government involvement down. I mean, I feel, no matter what side you're on and what side you're pulling for, there's just too much overreach. There's too much micromanaging going on, and it's getting out of hand. And that's pretty much my views. I am pro-Trump. It's 100%. But I'm also on a scale of picking the lesser of the two evils, in my opinion. So that's pretty much where I stand on everything.
And Pastor Sewell, I hear we call you Pastor Zoe, some people. So I'm not sure what you would like to be called. So please, if you can let us know.
Yeah, you can call me Pastor Zoe. It's fine. Thank you.
Pastor Zoe. Okay, awesome. Pastor Zoe, we're looking to hear just a little bit about you. Where you voted in the past, what party affiliation, and where do you stand now?
Yeah, so I was born and raised on the east side of Detroit, mentored by murderers, student of the streets, had a radical experience with Jesus when I was 18 years old, never raised in the church. Quite frankly, I wasn't going to vote until my Bishop Andrew Jonathan Davis Merritt, looked at me and asked me in 2000, did I vote? And I said,
Screenshot it and send it to him.
no, didn't vote. And he began to explain to me about our ancestors. He began to explain how important it was to vote. So I voted my whole life the same way, straight ticket Republican, because I believe in the Bible.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. So, Pastor Zoe, I'm going to stay with you. What challenges have you faced? I'm an East Side Detroit guy myself, born and raised. I've lived there for about 30 years of my life, and I can say, your view is not exactly a part of the majority in the city of Detroit. So, what type of adversity or challenges have you faced with having your views?
Well, that aspect of it, in terms of people not thinking like me and seeing what we're getting. I mean, my people are being shot, right? I've had 2 kids in my community shot, and we've voted Democrat the entire time. We've pledged our allegiance to the Democratic Party the entire time. So the biggest challenge I have is the obvious, that we've given our allegiance to the Democratic Party, and people that look like me have gotten absolutely nothing out of it. So when I talk to people, and we've adopted schools, we don't just serve Detroit, we serve Flint, we serve Pontiac, we serve Saginaw. Me and my wife do not take a salary from the church. We have disseminated millions of dollars in our community. And what I find out is our communities are the way they are because of Democratic leadership that has destroyed and decimated our community. If you look at just the HUD funding, we don't need to talk about anything else but HUD. If you look at the $133 million that's earmarked to come to cities like Detroit, Pontiac, Flint, and Saginaw, if the Democrats love Black people so much, why are we the highest in crime, highest in poverty, highest in foreclosure? So for me, the biggest challenge I have is people that I love, seeing them drowned by the Democratic Party.
Okay. Patrick? You're muted, Patrick. I do believe it was your instruction to remember to unmute yourself. I'm just saying.
You'd think that I would know better by now, but it's ridiculous. Okay, so I wanted to go to a couple of my guys. I had a question. I wanted to talk a little bit about the military standpoint of all of this, because I have such respect for our military people, Brian, Derek, and anybody else on this panel that I may not know that hadn't served. So much respect to you guys. So I'm curious, what kind of as a serviceman or women, what kind of qualities do you look for in a commander in chief, as somebody that's, commanding you to go into battle? Or what kind of qualities in a leader do you look for in your commander in chief, somebody that you would want to follow into battle? What kind of qualities do you look for? Brian, do you want to take that first?
Yeah, I'll take it first. Well, first of all, you say commander in chief, and you got to remember that it's going to be a whole nation's, whoever takes office, they're going to rule a whole nation. And you got to think about these Eastern countries, far Eastern countries. They're not going to respect the woman in place. I don't care how you put it. I don't care how pretty she looks on camera or anything else she do. They just not, at the end of the day, they're not going to respect her to even listen to the conversation she brings to the table. Either,
from a world standpoint, you're talking.
What's that?
From a world leader standpoint, is that what you're referring?
From a world leader standpoint, you think about even the Catholic Church, we still haven't have a female priest in a higher spot. So I understand why people want it to be, and I think at the end of the day, they kind of living in a fairy tale, but at the end of the day, you got to have somebody strong. And as I've served, and now I have a daughter that's serving, so it plays a big role in me when you say equal rights and you think women should fight on the combat field. Yeah, it comes home to me.
Okay. Derek, qualities in a leader, qualities in a commander in chief, someone you want to go into battle with or for?
Well, first off, I wouldn't walk into a damn chow hall in Iraq with either one of these people. I've got a lot of different views.
That's a strong point. That's a strong point.
A lot of
though,
different
right
standpoints. If you're going to be a commander in chief, you want to be the president, however you want to label it. I fully believe you should have served. If we go back in history, a lot of, I don't know what the percentage of presidents that actually served our country, but it was a lot higher back then. Now we're just getting into just pocket lining politicians. That's what we're getting into. And it goes also to the woman aspect Brian brought up. Not being sexist and not being just nasty about it, but I had female superiors at certain times. I didn't respect them near as much as I respected a male superior. And it goes off into the world leadership too. We're going to be taken, especially Far East, we're going to be taken as a joke. They're not going to listen to anything this woman has to say. Iran's definitely not going to sit and listen to her. Putin could give two shits what she's got to say. That's a whole nother story. But I guess just as an overall opinion on it, I'm completely against a female running as president. But like
Guys,
I said, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have to stop this conversation because we are now moving into a very sexist arena, and I have to respond to this.
Yeah, I wanted to give you
two people on this call right now have just said that she is disqualified because she's a woman. But we had Donald Trump, who you literally said that. So we have Donald Trump, who is literally the joke of the world. Every foreign leader thinks he's a joke. There's a reason why Vladimir Putin likes him, because Vladimir Putin was allowed to do whatever he wanted when Donald Trump was there. And the fact of the matter is that Vladimir Putin would control Ukraine right now if it were not for Joe Biden. Donald Trump would have let him steamroll right in there, which would have meant the next stop was Georgia and the next stop was Poland. So when we talk about strong leaders, the Republican leaders that we have had over the last 20 years have led us into wars and also have not stood up to anybody. So I do not understand this conversation about why a woman, who, by the way, is part of an administration.
What does it have to do with sexist, though?
Because you said that no woman should be president. That is sexist because you are saying men are more qualified than women, and that is false. We have had women leaders in other countries. Margaret Thatcher is one of them. We have had strong women leaders throughout history.
Yeah, you don't have a woman leading the war machine, is what I'm saying. You don't.
Okay, let him finish, Derek. I'll come right back to you. Let him finish, and I'll come right back to you.
And how did that work, having George W. Bush in charge of the war machine? He lied us into a war in Iraq. He said there were weapons of mass destruction. That turned out to be a lie. We ended up with a stronger Iran, because we went into Iraq and destabilized Iraq with no reason to go there. We lost thousands of American lives. We spent $1 trillion there, and we got absolutely nothing. So you tell me why George W. Bush, as a man, would be better than Kamala Harris based on that response.
I'm going to interject here. And I just want to remind everybody that everybody is allowed to have an opinion. Okay. And I want to allow ample time for everybody to be able to let their opinions be heard. Okay. That I think is very, very important. The one thing that I think the main focus of the point prior was the response about women on the world stage. I think that was the main point that was trying to be put together. But I definitely wanted to keep this as honest as we go. I'm sorry, I can't see. Greg or Randy, do you want to jump in and get in?
Yeah.
Randy, go ahead.
I do have a comment and a question. It's hard for me to understand how anyone in the military could support Donald Trump because of the words that he has said. You know, it's been reported that he called people who died in battle suckers and losers. He has denied that, but we have reputable people who said he said that. So that's one thing. But I heard and saw him with my own eyes, when he said that John McCain, Senator McCain, was not a hero because he was captured. He was captured, so he's not a hero. And Donald Trump said, I like guys who aren't captured. Oh my goodness.
I mean,
oh my goodness.
Me too. I mean,
he has no respect for the military. No respect for the military.
Brian, I want to jump you in here just again to give everybody opportunity to respond if you want to jump in, and then I'm going to come back to Greg, Pastor, end with Derek, and then Prince is going to take over from there. So go ahead, Brian, real quick.
To go up with that conversation with the remarks you just said, you know, when you go to combat, nobody wants to get the Purple Heart, you know, at the end of the day. So everybody's caught with hearsay and what people say. People's not going to say the right things all the time, and he's going to hurt people's feelings. He's going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. At this time, we don't need anybody that's going to be soft enough and is always offended. We can't go that route.
Can I jump in here, Patrick?
Yeah, please go ahead, Greg.
So
and then I'll come to Pastor, and then I'll end with Derek.
Okay, so you know, this is how I look at this. The United States of America is the leader of the free world. The world flies apart if we are not the leaders of the world completely. Now, we may think it's on its way to flying apart now, but it truly does. If we back up from the leaders of the world stage, it is over. And you know, this discussion about a woman leading, the rest of the world respects the United States of America because it's the United States of America. And they will respect a woman leader if she is a president and if she acts with integrity in that position. Donald Trump lost respect of the world because he did not stand up. He did not stand up to Putin. This is the guy who stood on foreign soil and stood by Vladimir Putin and literally took his side on this issue of whether or not Russia was engaged in trying to influence our elections. When 16 of his intelligence communities, his entire intelligence community, 16 agencies said there is no question that it's Vladimir Putin. Yet Donald Trump, as the leader of America, said, I trust Vladimir Putin. Now, I don't know what Putin has on Trump, or if Trump is just a sucker for strong men. I don't know what his motivation is.
For strong men.
That is damaging to the United States of America in a way that lasts generations.
Let's go 30 seconds or less, Pastor, Derek, and then James, it's back to you, buddy. 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, the numbers are the numbers, right? We had no new wars under President Trump. I have friends who are Jewish. I have friends who are Muslim. And I know that they were not in the same pain that they're in today. So while you're nodding your head, I have friends who are Muslims. I have friends who are Jewish that are hurting up under this presidency because of the lack of awareness. As a black man, I'm extremely offended that we've given more money to Ukraine than we have to help Black America. So up under President Trump, we didn't have to worry about that.
I mean, that's
Derek,
just not true.
Thank you, Pastor Derek.
Yeah, I'm just not getting it on the world leader aspect. And you talk about Trump having a soft spot for tough men. I mean, if you watch the body language when Trump and it was on the stage with fucking Putin, you know, shaking a hand from a distance don't cut it. He grabbed Putin by his fucking hand and pulled his ass in. You understand? There's body language there. I mean, the man walked in front of the Queen of England. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not good body language. As
Take
far
it
as
how
I'm
you want. That's
concerned.
100% body language. That's why we left the monarch. That's why we left the Queen. Okay.
Okay.
This country was
All right, that's
founded
30
on
seconds.
treasonous. You understand? This country
No, I don't
wasn't
really.
handed over. Okay. I mean,
Go ahead, James.
take
Go
it
ahead,
for what
James.
you want.
Go ahead, James.
I find it interesting that you know, I said I was going to ask this question to everyone, and for the sake of time, I'm not going to ask it. I'm just going to share it. And if anyone disagrees, we're going to have plenty of time for someone to share. One characteristic I look for in a world, in our leader, is a person, not a man, not a woman, but a person of good character. And that is not something that Donald Trump has. He does not have good character at all. So I find it very interesting that we have two men that represents, you know, that has served in the military that would support someone that totally dodged joining the military. Derek, I appreciate the fact you saying you think someone who has served should be our commander in chief, should be the president. I appreciate that.
Oh, 100%.
But Brian, I'm surprised. I can definitely appreciate that. I don't have an opinion either way on that one. So once again, I can respect that. But Brian, just to the fact that he dodged to do what you guys did, you know, and you guys would just chose support that. I do find that very interesting.
My one point that I want to throw in here just real quick before I do, I think a lot of conversation about this. There's a common thread that I hear a lot. It's about personality and policy. Do I think that all Trump voters agree with Trump 100% about everything that comes out of his mouth? I'm a Trump voter and I don't. Okay. But the way that I try to sift through what I view as all propaganda, whether you're watching Fox News, CNN, whatever it is, it's all propaganda. Okay. So what I try to do is I try to sift through that propaganda and decide what makes the most sense for me. We talked about qualities of a leader. Do I think a quality of a leader, can you still be a good leader and a jerk? Yeah, you can. Have I had some bosses that have been jerks to me in the past? Yeah. And have they made me a better employee because they've pushed me, because they've done different things in that way? Yeah. So that would be my only pushback and my counter to that. And I'm going to hand it over to Prince, because I think, Prince, you got something that you want to, or go ahead, James.
Sorry. There's someone asked two things that I would like to be addressed. Brian, are you assuming Kamala is soft because she's a woman? So just love a quick answer on that one. Then Pastor Zoe have something for you as well.
No, that's not the case because she's a woman. The fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, that's the real world we live in. And on the Eastern countries, that's the real world that, you know, they live in. Like, it's
We're second-class citizens.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, I don't care how you dress it up, it's still a woman. You know, it's
Now,
not
I want
going
to
to
be
her.
clear. You're not saying that.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the rest of the world. I know we wanted the fairy tale, the Disney Channel. You know, we want that with the violin playing, and she's the first woman, and it looks all nice and pretty. But at the end of the day, that's not how the world works. You know,
When did we turn from being a leader to conforming to what the rest of the world wants? If we're being a leader, shouldn't we be electing the best person for the job? Shouldn't that we be doing that, opposed to thinking what Iran is going to be happy about?
but these are the same people you got to debate. You got to try to come to terms with and not going to war. See, we one foot on the gate right now, heading to another war right now with the party you have in power right now. And we wasn't there when Trump was there. You can say all he wants to about being friends with Putin. Well, they probably needed a friend at that time, you know, for him not to go to war, not to push these other leaders into going to war. You know, nobody wants to go to war. At the end of the day, it's no old men. It's all young kids. Like I said, the last thing a soldier go cry for on the battlefield is their mom or dad, whoever they was closer to. They not go call no leader name out at the end of the day. I've never heard it.
Okay. So I think this is a fair point. Blacks are not respected in some parts of the world. Also, should blacks not lead the country? Also,
Yeah, but the most hated on person right now in the world is a white male conservative.
that's not the
Take
question,
that,
Derek. That's
take
not
that
the
how you
question.
will, though. But we
I
can go
missed
there
the
all
question.
day.
I missed
Let
the
me
James.
answer the question. Go ahead.
Hey,
Go ahead, Brian.
James,
I missed the
can I say
question,
something?
James. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it said blacks are not respected in some parts of the world. Also, should no blacks lead the country? Also,
She's watching it live.
I want to hear Brian and Pastor on
Well,
this one.
we've already had that.
oh, since we did it, we don't have to do it again. It's okay.
Well, we didn't. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best representative of African American. Like
Okay.
I know
It's
when I
still
was
one
in, we
running the
dropped.
show.
Hold on, Derek.
Seriously,
Hold on,
we
Derek.
dropped more. We dropped more bombs on black and brown countries than any other time in history when Obama was in office. That's facts.
That also wasn't the question, but okay, fair enough. I mean, that's okay.
So the question is about if black people can't lead because they're disrespecting in certain parts of the earth, certain parts of the world. I believe the premise of the question has to deal with cultural etiquette. I know some of my Muslim friends, they're not going to talk to my wife. It's not because they don't like my wife. It's because that's their cultural etiquette. It's not because they're sexist. It's because it's cultural etiquette. I'm not going to shake a Muslim woman's hand. I'm not going to put out my hand. Tomorrow I'll be with Rashida Tlaib. I'm not going to go to Rashida Tlaib and put out my hand, although she's my congresswoman. I don't believe in her policies, but I still respect her and pray for her as my congresswoman because she's a Muslim woman. It's not that if someone's black or someone's a gender, it's about understanding the cultural etiquette of leaders around the country. That's what I believe the premise of the question is.
And Tim, I think you had something to say. You wanted
I mean, we have heard a lot of things that are fundamentally not true, including the talk about cities in progressive states being worse for crime than red states. It's fundamentally untrue.
How do you figure?
Because of facts, look it up. Look it up.
What? I'm living it.
Gun violence is worse in red states than blue states. It is
I
a
just had
fact.
3 kids shot at today.
I understand. Yeah, we have a gun
talking about?
violence problem. We have a gun violence problem, and you don't want to do anything about gun
Hold
violence.
on, Pastor. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, I give it an
Hold on.
interview. He
Hold
says
Pastor.
3 people.
Respectfully.
30,000 Americans are murdered with guns every year. Most of those are in red states or states that are controlled by red governors. If you want to solve gun violence, you pass comprehensive background checks. We don't have those in most states. You ban assault weapons. You want to blame Democrats, the ones that want to make more restrictions on guns? We have the most guns on earth, and we are the least safe country when it comes to gun violence. So you tell me what that reason is. And this fact about like, I'm not going to talk to women and I'm not going to do this, it's bullshit. We've had women leaders forever. And the fact that you're like, we would rather have Donald Trump, and by the way, no new wars is also bullshit. We had never bombed Syria. We bombed him under that. We've done more. He did more drone strikes than any president in history in 4 years compared to Obama's 8. So this like no new wars thing is just complete fallacy. It's not true. So you know what? Like if you want to go back to Donald Trump, who is the only president in history that lost jobs in his first term, 2.9 million, and took an Obama economy, drove it straight into the ground. Biden brought it back up. Tell me why exactly we want Donald Trump, the man, who, by the way, is the biggest weakling on earth because he's such a pathetic, he can't handle any criticism and he crumbles and falls. Like, I do not understand this conversation about how Kamala Harris, who is a district attorney general, and a vice president, can't stand up to leaders when Donald Trump let Vladimir Putin do whatever he wanted.
The bitch can't put a sentence together.
What did you just say? What did you just say?
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
No.
Okay,
Stop.
we're going to try to, you're right.
What did Derek just say?
We need to
Patrick,
keep this as
what did Derek just say? Yeah,
we
what
need to
did he
keep this
say?
as respect. If you'd let me finish, I'll try to acknowledge it. We need to keep this as respectful as we possibly can. Okay, let's all try to remember that everybody is entitled to an opinion. This is a difficult conversation to have. We are a diverse panel, and I'm trying my very best to have everybody heard. So I do respect everyone's opinion, but I do want to try and keep this moving along and keep this as respectful as possible. Greg and Randy, I know
No,
you guys
Patrick, no,
haven't
or
been.
I'm leaving. Or I'm leaving. Address Derek calling her a bitch.
Tim, I just did.
You are,
I did
no,
just
you didn't.
address the
No,
fact
you didn't.
that we
No,
need
you
to.
didn't. No, you
Okay.
didn't. Address it,
all right.
or I'm out.
I'm trying to address the fact that
I
all
didn't
needs to be
hear. I
respectful.
did. I, I'm
He
gonna
called
say
her a
this.
bitch.
I didn't hear that. But so Derek, is that the way you address her? I'm just asking point blank. Is that I of course was recorded, but is that the way you recorded her or addressed her?
What's that now?
Did you address Kamala Harris as a bitch?
I did, yeah, absolutely. That's what I
All
called
right.
her.
So here's what we're not gonna do. I'm just gonna put it down. I don't care who we know, whatever.
I
What we're not
tried.
gonna do
I
is we're
tried.
not gonna do that. Okay. I have a black wife. I have black aunts. I have black mothers. I have black.
What does black have to do with anything?
I have women in
Let
my
him
family.
finish.
We're not gonna call anyone a bitch. That's what we're
Okay,
not gonna do.
I agree that we're trying to be as respectful and keep this as level-headed. To be fair, I don't think that Derek meant that to anyone personally other than who he was talking about.
Yeah, let's not do that, Patrick. Let's not do that. He's a grown
I'm
man.
trying to be. I'm trying to be as
What
level.
does it have to do with anybody else's? I mean, I addressed it to one person.
Right. So let's get Randy. Randy, if we
Jesus
can
Christ.
try to.
Hey,
all right, hold on.
so-
Just mute. It's okay. Just mute. It's all right. Just mute. We're doing what
Patrick,
we can.
I
Randy,
want
go ahead.
I want to go back to something you said about a boss who's a jerk can be a good boss. I got to disagree with that. The integrity of a person, what you are inside, is going to influence any decision you make. Donald Trump is such a liar. And we all know, every single person on this panel knows that he is a constant liar. The biggest lie that hurt the entire world was about this election, the last election. When he knew that he lost the election, he continues to lie about it, and people are gullible enough to believe what he said when he knows it was a lie. He has destroyed democracy around the world because, as Greg and others said, people look to the United States of America as the leader of democracy. And when Donald Trump gets on here and says that our elections are not fair, even these other countries can say, hey, look at it, even America can't do it right. And every decision that comes across his desk as a president is going to be influenced by that core inside him, that he cannot make a right decision because he's going to be influenced. How is it going to impact me? He does not care about anybody in this country, because if he did, he would have bowed out gracefully and walked away. That man did not even attend the inauguration of Joe Biden. That is terrible. That the guy is just terrible because of who he is, So, yeah, I disagree. You cannot be a good boss if you don't have the integrity of honesty and compassion, and he has no empathy for anybody else.
I do respect your opinion, Randy. Thank you for sharing that. Listen. I can understand that we can disagree respectfully. No problem. Greg, Pastor, I know we got things to say. I'm trying to do what I can.
I just want to
do what I can, guys.
Can I talk about election integrity real quick? So we have a case, Randy, in the Eastern District right now. We have a case. We have 50 people in my church that never voted. We have people that have never voted, and their votes were counted straight ticket Democrat in the last 2 elections. This is a case we have before the Eastern District right now as we speak. What they're doing in cities like Detroit, I can't speak for every city, but I can speak for Detroit. When you lived in Detroit and you moved out, they're taking your name and they're attaching it to addresses where there are dilapidated homes and there are just empty lots. That's happening today. We went to our clerk. We got the voter rolls. So I'm just letting you know, these are real cases. And that's why black men in my community, this is why they're going for Trump.
But
So
Pastor, I gotta respond to that one thing. Over 60 court cases that Trump brought. He lost every single case because there was no evidence.
Not ours.
Zero evidence of fraud that would affect the election. That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. That's the facts. That is the facts.
Pastor, can I just jump in here about this? If your case is proven to be accurate, it will come out in the courts. But 4 years ago in 2020, 60 cases. There was no voter fraud, any widespread voter fraud that would have affected the outcome of the election. If somebody was doing nefarious stuff with your voter rolls, they ought to be prosecuted. I agree with you 100%.
Okay. I haven't heard from Prince. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm just taking
How you
everything
doing,
in,
man? Yeah.
listening.
You want to
both
take over
sides.
this mediation thing, bud? Because
well, I definitely would like to hop in with a question of my own. So one of the questions, or a couple of questions I want to ask is, I want to look towards the future. You see in the commercials a lot, which is a lot of what your everyday person, they look at those commercials, and a lot of the things that stand out affects how they vote. One of the things that have been, and I want to go to Randy for this question, one of the things that's been playing a lot is how Mrs. Harris plans to use tax money to allow for prisoners to have the transgender surgery. And I know for a fact that a lot of people have been saying, even Black males and Hispanics, that's one of the reasons why they're voting for Trump. That's actually disparaging them from wanting to vote for Mrs. Harris. What are your thoughts on that? And is that something that we should be concerned about with our tax money going forward? Is it true? I know a lot of the stuff in commercials you can't even trust.
Let me tell you, and you guys go look this up. This was the policy under Donald Trump's administration. This was the Justice Department policy for federal prisons under Donald Trump. Go fact check that. Check that. I work in the jails right now in the prisons in Utah. Are you kidding me? How many people in a jail are going to get a transgender operation? It just ain't going to happen. In the whole United States, in the entire United States, there would probably be less than 5 people who's going to get a transgender. If you're in prison and you want to get to a different sex, you got a hard life in prison. It just ain't going to happen. They're making a big deal out of that. But the thing of it is, that was the policy under Donald Trump. That was the policy of the Justice Department under Donald Trump. So I don't know why they're bringing it up now. That's the least of my concerns, because the tax dollars would be going to that are going to be.
Well,
I just can't imagine how many would be doing that.
So, Randy, let me just say one thing about that. It was the policy under the Trump Justice Department. However, as a policy matter, as a conservative, I don't think the taxpayer funds should be going to anybody in prison who wants a sex change operation. That's just a principle that I don't agree with. And if it's promoted by the Harris administration, I won't agree with it then either.
Well, I don't think it's going to be promoted by anybody. I really don't think anybody's going to.
Well, I'm just saying as a principle, government funding should not be used for that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. So, my next question is going to be following up on as far as the commercials that you see. This is going to be for Pastor Zoe and for Derek as well. You can chime in on this. But as far as for the Republican side, the concern that is always raised in these commercials is that Donald Trump is going to be trying to lower taxes for high income families while perhaps raising taxes for the middle class and even the lower class, or at least not looking out for them. So what are your thoughts on that, Pastor Zoe? And why is this something that, as the middle class that makes up majority of the country, we should vote for Trump when this is his plans?
Well, this is a very good question, Prince. When we look at commercials, we understand that they're trying to invoke emotions. What I do know that up under former President Donald Trump, that the NAFTA deal was signed. And for me, the reason why that's important is because I'm from the Motor City, right? That gives the opportunity for people that are in my context that work at places like Ford, Chrysler, General Motors, and work in tier 1 and tier 2 automotive industries. It gives them an opportunity to have more jobs. He increased it by 12%. We know that Bill Clinton signed it, but he increased it by 12%. So I've seen what he's done as it pertains to the SBA, the Small Business Administration. He's opened up the portal. I've seen what he's done with opportunity zones in my own community. I see schools that were dilapidated in my own community get renovated because of Donald Trump's policy. So for me, I don't have talking points. I just have real experience up under his leadership.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then last question I have, this one can be for you, Derek, or for you as well, Brian. Haven't got to you in a while. Donald Trump has said, it was during the debate, I want to say, that pretty much he does plan on getting very involved in foreign affairs. And as we know, with the war with Russia and Ukraine still ongoing, this is something that I would not be surprised. He said that he's ready to get that over with, pretty much. Are you guys not concerned with the military being sent back out to handle more foreign affairs so soon? And is this something that we should be concerned with?
I don't think it's going to be done by military strong arming. When he says ending the war, I don't believe he's going to send troops back overseas. That was never his plan in the first place. I think the war machine is behind the Democrat Party this time around. I know it tends to shift back and forth, Democrat, Republic, but I really believe at the end of the day, the war machine's behind the Democrat Party right now. As you can see, all our funding is going right back over there. I don't know how many billions of dollars it is now that we've sent over there, and we're not doing anything at home. When he came into office, he said they're going to start sending your tax dollars to fight foreign wars and protect foreign borders, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Derek, did you have a response to that as well?
I agree on that. I don't believe, like Brian said, he's not going to go in there strong arming anybody. And it just falls back into just his presence alone. I mean, his body language when on a stage with Putin. I don't believe Trump's going to. He's not going to allow the U.S. to be intimidated. I mean, we're the most powerful country in the world. But if you fall back into, look at the withdrawal out of Afghanistan. It was the worst catastrophe since the fall of Saigon in Vietnam. It's just my brain is so flustered right now with this whole idea.
No, I get you.
Can I speak to the war thing real quick, man?
Yeah, go ahead.
30 seconds. 30
Yeah,
seconds.
go ahead.
I had an opportunity to be with Tulsi Gabbard. So she was a congresswoman from Hawaii. She used to be a Democrat. She's become a Republican. And she served in the national security arm of the committee in Congress. What she helped us understand as Black Americans is that the way that Donald Trump looks at being able to bring together consensus, that's number one. And then the consulate of Egypt, he began to share with me how Donald Trump was able to push out ISIS. So just from personal experiences and conversations that I've had with people that really know what they're talking about, they feel very confident in his leadership as it pertains to national security.
Okay. And then my last question, kind of going along with that, and then I'll get to you, James. I know you have one more question, is as far as Donald Trump and his leadership, this is for you, Pastor Zoe, and for you as well, Brian. A lot of Black Americans are very concerned that under Donald Trump, it's going to open up the narrative for a lot more individuals who are against Black people as a whole to start to come back out of the woodwork, if you will, and perhaps for police brutality to start that to come back up again, as we saw how high and prevalent it was under his administration. Is this something that either one of you guys are concerned about? Is this a worry for you guys? I'll go to you first, Brian. Haven't heard from you.
You'll have your few that think they have power. It goes, you have the few that's gonna play that game. They're back in charge. The whites back in charge. We have that on both sides. The extremes. That's gonna be the extremes. Yeah, I see it. But at the end of the day, it's not so much of gun or I want to say white or black thing. It's pretty much educational. That's what's missing at the end of the day. It's lack of education that's doing that. Lack of knowledge that's with all the violence and stuff you see on the street. Lack of jobs at the end of the day.
Prince, I serve in poor Black cities. My 8th grade kids in Flint, they carry guns to school. And it's not because of white cops. I got Black guys in my church that carry guns, and it has nothing to do with white cops. I lead the largest online police partnership to be able to reveal what's happening in our communities. I do this online, the largest one in Pontiac. And guess what? It has nothing to do with white cops. It's Black on Black crime. It's happening in our community because poverty is the greatest funder of crime.
Okay. Well, that's all I got for you guys. Really appreciate you all answering those questions. James, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I want to switch gears here. Before I do, we just got a comment. Let's see if it's something about that. Oh, okay. Being told there's background noise somewhere. Switch gears here. I'm going to yield to people that are older than me to extend my level of knowledge here. So whoever that may be. In my lifetime,
You're old as hell, James. So I don't know. You're old as hell.
So
I'm
That feels
the
like me
oldest.
and Randy.
I'm the oldest here.
So actually, that's great that it's Greg and Randy because since Greg, you were Republican, Randy Democrat, this is going to be great hearing different perspectives. I cannot remember a time in my history, so I can go back to Jimmy Carter as president. He's the first president I remember. I do not recall any time that there's such hatred, such bickering, such emotions around any candidate other than Donald Trump. I find that very interesting. And I don't really think people acknowledge that enough. I'm a firm believer, Pastor Zoe, I'm sure you do marriage counseling, and I'm sure you tell husbands and wives when the wives come in and say, my husband don't listen to me, you pray pastor that husband and say, hey, you need to do things, you need to act a little different. I've been married for 21 years. And when my wife accuses me of something, I cannot say you're wrong. I'm immediately wrong in that situation. I have to do some fact finding. Why do you feel this way? What did I do? I have to do some things a little different and address that. And I don't feel always people when people of color especially come to a Republican, a Trump supporter, and says, I don't feel safe in this country. One of our panel members on this group, she can't be here today. She's a transgender woman. She says she does not feel comfortable in another Trump presidency. When we say things like that, it's never why. It's never why do you feel that way? I can understand. It's you're wrong, right? And I think that's completely wrong. So with all that being said, my wife and I went on a cruise this past fall. We're still in fall. And someone said something on a cruise that was very profound. They said if the ship goes down, if you're in the water, a rescue boat comes up to save you, then you're not going to matter. You're not going to care if they're Democrat or Republican. You just want they ask to throw you a life jacket. They want you a life preserver. Pastor Zoe, you said something like that similar in a recent interview as well. So my question, finally to that, my question is, why? Why do we have such emotions around this particular candidate? I voted Republican in the past. I voted Democrat in the past, but this guy is a little different. So, Greg, if you don't mind starting off on that, please.
Oh, wow. I could go on forever about that. This is why I think it is Donald Trump's fundamental corruption. I think that he is really an empty soul. And I mean that seriously. I think that the fact that he has lied about nearly everything and he continues to lie, and he continues to convince so many people of his lies that it has just caused this complete wedge, us versus them. And I think that he is the leader of it. And when a guy like Donald Trump can go to the ellipse, knowing full well that he lost the election, and he can say to those folks, we're going to go to the Capitol, and we sure hope Mike Pence does the right thing, breaking the Constitution. I sure hope Mike Pence does the right thing. And I'm going to be there with you. And we're going to fight like hell. Because if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country. And he whips up this emotion. He sends people to the Capitol. Hundreds of police officers are injured. A woman who was his follower, who accepted his lie, went and got killed. And Donald Trump showed zero remorse for that. Now, I think that and he sat in his dining room and watched for 3 hours while that violence went forward. I think a guy that is that corrupt, and he's been that way his whole life, that if you believe him and the other folks believe that he is this corrupt, that it becomes extremely polarized. And it's like we are looking at the world from two different lenses about Donald Trump. And there's an impasse that is very hard to get past. because I listen to Pastor Zoe, and I agree with him on so many issues, and I respect and admire his work so much.
Thank you.
And then I think of 1 Corinthians 13.
Sure.
And I think of, love your neighbor, love God. And I think that Donald Trump represents none of that. And so it's an impasse that I just don't think that we can get past with him. And until he passes from the scene, I worry about us ever coming back together.
It's a huge divide in our country, that's for sure. Randy, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think what Greg said so eloquently is the Republican Party does not exist. The Republican Party is no longer. It is now the party of Donald Trump. And I go back to when Obama was running. Well, the first lies that I heard from Donald Trump was about Obama's birther. Obama wasn't born here. And Donald Trump lied, saying he had evidence that Obama was not an American citizen. He wasn't born in this country. The law says he's got an American mother. Doesn't matter where he's born, he's still a U.S. citizen. But Donald Trump was making a big deal, and he lied about that. And do you know why? It was because Barack Obama was black. You can't get out of the racist element of Donald Trump. He said these Haitians were eating dogs and cats because they're black. He said that immigrants are poisoning the blood of America. Do you know what Hitler said? That's exactly what Hitler said. In fact, I looked this up. Hitler said, these are Hitler's words, that all great cultures of the past perished only because the originally creative race died out from blood poisoning. And here's Donald Trump using the words of Adolf Hitler. That is terrible. That's terrible. And when those white nationalists were marching in Charlottesville, and I heard this, this is what we all saw. We all saw this. Donald Trump said there were fine people on both sides. Oh my goodness. For anyone to be fooled by him, to think that he cares about black people, I think everything about his life shows that he doesn't. He was raised underprivileged. He has no idea what it means to have to go to work and to worry about, if I lose my job, I won't be able to pay my rent. I won't be able to buy groceries. He has no concept of that. For any working person to believe that Donald Trump cares about you or understands about you, I believe is very, very foolish, because he doesn't. He has no concept of that. And remember, he had the Muslim ban. The Muslim ban of Muslims coming into this country, if you are not white, hey, you know what? This is a country of white people. And everything he's done is going towards that. That's the great divide, because I, as an American, am disgusted by him, by what he said. And then, of course, look what happened in New York. He had his comedian on there, and don't you tell me he didn't know what he was going to say about Puerto Rico being a garbage dump in the middle of the ocean. That is sickening. And Donald Trump did not say anything about that until after the big blowback of it. So again, I agree with Greg. He does not have a soul. He does not have empathy or compassion or any truth in him. Just one final thing. He should absolutely be disqualified from ever running for president again, when he told his vice president to break the law and go against the Constitution and not certify this election. That is treasonous. How on earth is he even eligible to run again?
And I appreciate that, Randy. Thank you for sharing that respectfully. I think that there are two black men on this panel that do vote for Trump. I mean, I'm just saying that you did say that you didn't know of any. So there's two right here. So
I don't know of any, but I think I don't know why they're doing it.
Right. Okay. And the other thing I think that we all can agree on is that there's propaganda on both sides of the aisle. Okay, there's propaganda that some people buy into, some people don't buy into. He said this, she said that. Again, if you take a look at right now, and I can show you right now, both of my side TVs, you can see one of them. One's on Fox and one is on CNN. Okay, and I have never seen the same story told two completely different ways more in my life, and that is what I think is the real pot stirrer here. Okay, it is everybody out here has their opinions and they know best, and he should do this and she should do this and he should shut his mouth and she should go to the border and blah 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 blah. It's all propaganda, and it really
Patrick,
boils down to what you believe. So
Patrick, can I say one thing though? The difference is everything that I said is what we all saw Donald Trump say. This is not some third party.
Well, the thing about Charlottesville, being fair people on both sides, that was debunked. So there were some things in there that was propaganda. And again, Patrick, we could argue about facts. I don't want to.
It was there. I saw it. I read it again today. It's the facts. He said that. He absolutely said that.
He definitely didn't. But okay.
Pastor Zoe has something.
I'm gonna be real quick. I'm gonna do this in 1 minute. James, you asked the question. Why do people feel the way they do about former President Trump? The number one reason why, because people who have never met him and they do not have a relationship with him believe all of the things that others say about him. He came to my church.
True.
Now, I'm not a Trump. Look, before he came to my church, wasn't a Trump guy. I vote Republican because I believe the Bible. It's just that simple. Came to my church, never asked him to come to my church. He came, he listened to the community. Not only did he listen to the community, he gave a black man an opportunity to preach in front of 28.5 million people. He gave a black man the respect of walking up to me in front of pastors who pastor 20,000 member churches, shaking my hand first, saying, "You're my guy, you're my man. At the inauguration, you'll be there." Sending Tim Scott, sending Mike Johnson, sending Jim Jordan to a black church in the hood who has not given him $1 nor received $1. So when people tell me he's racist, why would he open up an opportunity for a black man like me who could do nothing for him? Why would he do that? My church went from a vaguely known church to a church that's internationally known. I preach in front of thousands of people every single week. And you know what these white racist Republicans do? They hug me. They kiss me. They're like, "Pastor, thank you so much. We can't believe you're here. We thank you for being here. We wanted to be able to go to your community. We didn't know how to go into your community. Thank you for doing that." If he is so racist and he is such an evil guy, why would he give me an opportunity as he has?
Well, one thing I'll say, I want to address that. You know, only thing I can say about that, Pastor Zoe, is a lot of politicians, Democrat and Republican, do a lot of things during campaign season. Once they get into office, they're gone. You know, you don't hear from them again until the next mayor come out for the campaign. So that's the one thing I'll say about that.
But Jay, not Republicans. They haven't been in my community in 43 years, and they don't need the black vote to win. Remember, he won the White House with 7% of the black vote. He don't need the black vote to get into the presidency.
Hey, can I just jump in real quick?
I'm gonna do a hard time because we got to move. We're coming at 53 minutes, so I'm gonna do a hard stop. All right. I want to get to one last and final point before we wrap things up. Okay. And first of all, before I get to the last and final point, I do want to thank everybody. I know this is a difficult conversation. Okay. We are not professionals, meaning me, James, Prince, and anybody else that are hosts of this show. We are not professionals.
Don't put me in with you.
As far as knowing how to mediate people that are so passionate about some things. So I want to reiterate on behalf of my colleagues on this, thank you to everybody that has shown up. And again, I appreciate all of you. The last point that I want to talk about is one quick thing for me. And I want this, Greg and Randy, I really am interested in your perspectives on this, because this is a real question that I struggle with. Okay. And I would really appreciate your answer. A lot of the slogans that we hear, again, this propaganda machine that we talk about sentences like threat to democracy and existential threats to democracy and things like that. Those are words I hear mainly coming out of one side of the aisle. Okay. And mostly they're aimed at Donald Trump as far as being a threat to democracy. So as far as being a threat to democracy. My definition of threat to democracy is not following the democratic process, which means we're a republic, which means our constituencies vote and they elect their delegates, then cast the vote that represents their constituencies. So my question is leading to you guys as a democratic I'm sorry, Greg, you're independent, and Randy, you are a Democrat. I apologize. I don't want to misclassify anybody. As a Democratic voter, Randy, does it bother you that your constituency isn't accurately represented from what your constituency voted for, which was Joe Biden? Your delegate went to Kamala Harris, which was not representative of your constituency. So as a Democratic voter, I'm curious, does that bother you? Because it would upset me.
No, that doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me at all. No, that does not bother me at all. But I got to answer, Patrick, what you're saying about why Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Just in one thing, January 6th, you do not tell your vice president to violate the Constitution and think that's okay. That's why he's a threat to democracy.
I'm talking
to destroy this country. That's all.
Okay. So you have no response to the fact that your constituencies didn't vote for Kamala Harris at all. That's okay.
No,
your delegates did their own choice.
That does not bother me. That does not bother me.
I mean, as a Democratic voter, that would bother me. It really would. James, go ahead.
So I'm just curious, Patrick, and usually we don't like to ask co-hosts questions, but that would bother you. But electing a man of 34 felonies, convicted of 34 felonies, that's totally okay.
No, what it means is
on record saying he's grabbed women by the pussy. That's okay, but given our delegate to someone that wasn't in there, that's just, oh my God, that's a hard stop.
Well, we're talking about the specific democratic process, which we're talking about. We elect as a constituency, we vote, and then our representatives cast their delegates based on what their constituency says. None of the Democratic constituencies voted for Kamala Harris. So I'm just talking about the strategic democratic process. Isn't that a democratic process that we vote for the delegates then represent our vote? Isn't that how that works?
So Patrick, can I jump in on this?
Yeah, please.
Here's the process. When we vote in each individual state, we vote for electors, and the electors who receive the highest number of votes for Kamala Harris or for Donald Trump, those electors will cast their votes according to the will of the people. So, for example, in Utah, when we're a very red state, Randy's vote's not going to count, and neither is mine this time. We're a red state, and so those electors will go and vote. If your question is, does it bother me that my vote doesn't count? Yeah, I'd like to throw the Electoral College out. I think in America, one vote per person is how we ought to elect the president of the United States. I think that the founders of the Constitution screwed that one up.
Is that only because the Electoral College isn't working correctly right now? Because that's what I feel the problem is. It's broken. That's what.
Well, here's what I think is the Electoral College is allocated how it's allocated, and at the beginning it was sort of a compromise to give smaller states more power by having electors vote rather than the people. Well, we are a big country where everyone receives all the communication that they need to make a decision, and one vote, one person sounds like
farmers in Arkansas compared to people in the inner city in New York are two completely different people.
That's right.
Care about two completely different types of things.
That's right. And that's why one vote should be equal to another.
Okay. Any thoughts on the Electoral College? We want to toss that around, James? Or anybody else want to jump in? Derek, you talk. I saw you nod your head. You want to talk about the Electoral College or
my thing, and this kind of goes back to Randy, and I'd like anybody's opinion really. Talking about having 0 votes towards Kamala, and that doesn't bother you whatsoever. You're telling me that's the best you got is Kamala Harris? I mean, really, and it's an honest question.
Yeah, that's. But you know what? Here's the interesting thing about this. I would answer. Is Donald Trump the best Republicans have got? Come on.
Oh no, man! You pull somebody like Trey Gowdy out of the woodworks. Pull somebody that's going to hold no matter what side of the fence you're on. It's going to hold them accountable.
it's interesting that if the Democrats don't care, they don't care that Kamala Harris is here. Why should Republicans care? The Republicans, you can select your person any way you want to, and you selected Donald Trump. Democrats,
yes, but that's who we chose.
Their person.
You didn't choose. Hold on. You didn't choose Kamala Harris. That's what I'm trying to say.
But I'm happy she's there. I don't.
That's not how the process works. That's what he's saying, Randy. That's not how the process works.
Oh, you know what? That is
you're happy with who they
does work.
You're saying you're
work because I'm a Democrat and I'm happy. I'm happy for Kamala Harris to be my leader. So
listen,
you're saying
guys,
that you're happy with who they gave you.
Derek, hold on. Let Greg talk, and then Derek, you can come in. Let Greg talk, and then Derek.
So, guys, this is in fact precisely how the process works. Is that any party can select whomever they want to lead their party. There is nothing constitutional about political parties. Democrats can do it the way they want. Republicans can do it the way they want. And the Democrats chose Kamala Harris. That's just, that's just the way it is. Because
my question would be with the people. Did the people choose Kamala Harris?
The people didn't choose.
As a Democratic voter, I would feel slighted. I really would.
Technically, didn't we?
But I'm just telling you, that's not the process. The people don't matter.
But technically, didn't the people?
They should.
Yes, I do think they should. I'm saying they don't.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
I feel Joe Biden had all the delegates. Joe Biden had all the delegates.
The case I can make for that, and I'm not a politician. I'll throw that out there. Joe Biden did receive the delegates.
Correct.
His running mate is Kamala Harris. If Joe Biden is not able to fulfill his term, Kamala Harris will become the president. So technically, didn't we choose Kamala Harris?
Well, who said Joe Biden wasn't technically able to? I mean, he was the one that said he wanted to vote.
So guys, here's the process. Again, the Democrats can do what they want. All of those delegates, Democratic delegates, turned their support to Kamala Harris. So all the people who voted for those delegates, once they voted, they don't have a say. The delegates get to do what they want.
That's not right. Is my point, Greg. That's why I agree with broken.
Patrick. That's
why I think it's broken.
I think that part is broken.
They could have had a truncated primary where you could have had Gavin Newsom. You could have had
absolutely Robert Kennedy.
No, it's just that they chose not to. All I'm saying is they just chose not to.
Why? Why did the Democratic Party choose not to?
No, it's not a threat to democracy because there is nothing constitutional or sacred or anything else about a political party. If I were king for a day, I would like to have 10 parties. I think the two-party system is really messed up.
I agree with that.
That's just my view. But there's nothing constitutional about a political party, and we should not hold them in such high esteem that we ought to follow them no matter what. That's
James. You got last word, James. You got last word, brother.
Well, I want to hop in real quick. As far as the original question that I don't feel like anybody, I don't remember if I heard anybody answer it as far as should the Electoral College be a thing. I don't feel like the Electoral College should be a thing. I think it should be popular vote. It should come down to that, especially I'm sure a lot of you guys have learned in school about gerrymandering and about how they can draw the lines in very unfavorable positions. It's more than just like making your vote then the state, all those electoral votes go to a person. It's more so they draw it in a way in which like this demographics votes won't even matter because we're going to put it all in one place. You can win the popular vote and still lose your state, which is ludicrous to me. So it should definitely be popular vote.
Sure.
It should definitely just be popular vote.
I'm with Prince.
James, man, wrap us up, dude. Get us out of here.
Just to end the show, guys, once again, thank you all for joining. We're going to do one quick thing roundtable. Just make a prediction, 2 predictions. The first one, who's going to win next in this election? And 2, will we have a result next Tuesday night? So, Derek, let's start with you.
I mean, I'm Trump all the way. I mean, no questions asked. I'd fall back into the last election. I mean, you're not going to tell, and I get it. I don't want to get into the voter fraud, but I'm
just answer the question, Derek. I love you, buddy.
Trump. I'm Trump.
There
I'm
you
Trump
go.
All the way.
Are we going to know next Tuesday, or is it going to go beyond?
Yeah.
I mean, depends on what country you're in.
I think we're in the
I live
U.S.
in America.
but-
No,
okay.
no, I get it, but the vote the results may change overseas, and then we may get a final answer. Who knows?
Oh, so okay.
Yeah,
I want.
yeah, I don't- yeah.
I want. I was going to give a sarcastic response, but I'll
Let's
choose
hear it.
my-
You're good.
Yeah.
I love
So
it.
basically, what you're saying is, if Trump wins, we'll find out Tuesday. But if he loses, it's going to go beyond that. 'Cause we got to find extra votes, like he asked Georgia. to
Not
find.
negative, because they're going to come out with something now. They're going to think Kamala's got more votes than the golden boy himself too. There's no way Biden got more votes than Obama. Come on. It'll be if Trump loses, it'll be another whole case of election fraud, 100%.
Oh my goodness.
Gotcha.
There you go.
All right. So we only believe in the system when it works for us. That's
Brian.
That's awesome.
Brian.
Okay, I'm hoping Trump, but if he doesn't, I know it's being a Christian. I know it's biblically being fulfilled. The new Babylon coming in. I believe that. That's the only thing else I have to fall on to is the Bible right now at these times. So
your prediction is Trump, and are we going to hear it on Tuesday?
And I don't know, man. I'm be honest. To be honest, I don't know.
All right, Greg. Who do you predict is going to win? We know who you want to win, but who do you predict is going to win, and will we know on Tuesday?
I don't think you can predict it. It's a straight toss-up. It's just a toss-up. Now, here's what I'll say. I think the last few days, you can't look at the polls as a snapshot at this point in time. You look at the trend line. And the trend line over the last few days is slightly trending Harris. If I were, so I'll say based on that Harris might win. If I had $1 million placed on this bet, then I'd go with Trump.
There's
Can
a
I
lot
borrow
of
$1
money
million?
on this. There is money on this election. There is
I
money
know.
on this election.
I
There's a
mean,
lot of money on this election.
I don't know. Harris will, with that question, win the popular vote. I think between 3 to 7 million, she'll win the popular vote. But in the electoral college, I would probably, it's a straight toss-up, but I lean Trump.
Okay, Randy.
I think Harris is going to win, but I do agree with you, James. If Harris wins, we won't know that because Donald Trump's going to throw a fit. If Donald Trump wins, Harris will concede and it'll be all over.
Pastor Zoe.
It will be way too big to rig. We'll know next Tuesday. President Donald J. Trump will be the 47th president of the United States of America.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. I definitely appreciate it. I'm going to put you all in backstage. If you want to stick around to hear our rhetoric, by all means. If you need to drop off, definitely do so. But once again, definitely appreciate you guys' time and joining today.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right, gentlemen.
Woo! That was a rough one.
We knew it. We knew it would be. There's no doubt
was a
about
rough
that.
one.
I guess.
Can I ask a question, James, to you real quick?
Yes.
Why
Yeah.
is it so hard to have conversations like that? I don't understand. Why is it so hard?
I don't know. It's tough.
It is though. It is.
It's extremely tough. I've talked a lot. I'm once again not a professional. I've had conversations about politics, about Bush, HW, and it wasn't like this. Had conversations about other presidents, and I just really don't feel. I don't know.
I think it's people take it personal. If you
I think so too.
if you have an idea for someone, you feel like, and someone disagrees with you, you feel like it's a personal attack on
Take it
you.
personally.
Like they see me as this certain way, or so. I think that it just becomes personal. That's what I feel it is.
And another thing I'll add in, just real quick too. Just want to say this. I've said this to you before, Patrick. We've talked about this, and I have to go here. I do not believe all Trump supporters are racist. I don't. But what I do believe is all racists are Trump supporters. So when you start getting in conversation and it feels personal, as Princeton said, as a person of color, something, just stating the obvious, something, Patrick, you can't relate to, the first question I think of is, who am I speaking to? Am I speaking to a racist? Because honestly, that just blurs a line. Like I said, originally, my original question was going to be, is, does a leader need to have good character? If you or anyone else would have said no, there's no point of having that conversation, because I don't feel, and it's just my personal belief, that Donald Trump has good character. So if you feel that a leader does not have to have good character, then there's no reason to have that conversation about why do we want a person of character to be the leader of our country. Last thing I'll say, the position I work in right now, you cannot work for my company with one felony. Hell, some misdemeanors, you can't work for our company. Eric, the company that he works for, you cannot have a record working for his company. I feel safe in saying for Princeton's company as well.
No, you can't.
Your company, okay. Patrick, your company, I seriously doubt you'll want to hire someone that has a felony on their record, because we had a conversation.
I'm gonna stop there. I would, to be honest. If I met that person, shook that person's hand, looked them in the eye, and I would do my best not to judge that person based on the past, I would try. I'm not saying that I would succeed, but I would try.
Okay.
Because,
permission to speak openly and freely?
Of course.
Patrick, on a personal conversation we had? I remember back in the day, you were thinking of hiring someone for your company, and you asked me, would I be safe letting this person come into my house to pick up equipment? So you were concerned about who was coming into your home to pick up equipment. You asked, could you trust? You asked, could you trust this person with your equipment? Because this was before you got to know this person. You asked, could you trust this person with thousands of dollars worth of your equipment? Now, if someone had multiple felonies, you're not going to automatically say, that's my point.
Oh, yeah.
That's my point.
100%. And I agree with you 100%. There would definitely be reservations, okay? But I definitely do believe in rehabilitation. I do.
But has this guy been rehabilitated yet? He's fighting that as well. He has not. I totally believe in it as well, but he has not yet been rehabilitated by the system that he was convicted in. Now, you can easily say, oh, it was rigged. Well, guess what? Jail is full of inmates who was victim of being rigged. It's full of them. Everyone is innocent in jail. And if Randy was still on, I think he might agree with that as well.
Well, listen, I want to say this point to the three of you. All right. No matter how we look at other people, okay, whether white, black, Democrat, Republican, whatever it is, I always want you three to look at me as a friend. Okay. So, and that's where I'm based in respect. Shut up. You know, I'm trying to be nice. You know,
fuck Tom Brady.
Fuck Tom Brady. It is listen, it is important to me. Okay. You know, and James and I, we've had these conversations, and you know what? These conversations are hard. They are tough, and they can get heated, and they can. And I agree with you 100%, Prince, that people take personal upset, or what's the word I'm looking for? They get upset by it, take it personally. So these are hard. And all I want to say to the three of you is I appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation with you. Okay. I appreciate the opportunity that we stuck it through. It's not easy. And I appreciate it. That's what I want to say.
And I'd like to say something, if that's okay with you.
Who
guys.
are you?
No, who the hell are you?
Where'd you come from?
Yeah, wow.
I came from my mom's womb. That's where I came from.
TMI.
I had a chance to look at some of the comments and listen to some of the conversation. Even though it was an intense conversation and people have different opinions on who they think is the most qualified person, I think the fact that everybody came together to voice their opinion does show that we all have one thing in common, and that's we want the best for our country. We really do. At the end of the day,
needs to continue. Yes.
Yeah, the conversation does need to continue, but at the end of the day, every person that was on this panel, you know, from the pastor, you know, to Princeton, old, young, we all want the best thing for this country, and that is for us to be united, which I don't remember us being united, honestly, since 2000, when all of this controversial election crap started to happen. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, there are great ideas on both sides. I'm not particularly wild about either one of the candidates, but I'm kind of choosing the less of two evils, because I'll be damned if I'm not going to vote, knowing what my parents and grandparents had to go through in order to vote.
You cast that vote 100%.
Yeah, exactly. So me not voting is not an option. Now, probably back The Reagan administration was probably the last administration that I remember, regardless of who the president was, that the Republicans and the Democrats put all of that crap aside and they focused on what was best for the country. Like ever since the Reagan election, it's always been some sort of controversy, either a
Can
personal
we? Oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt.
no, I'm sorry. I'm saying either an integrity issue, a legitimacy of who's the president issue. There's always been something. And I really wish that we can get back to the point where we can accept the results of the election. Now, I don't think that we'll ever get rid of the Electoral College, Princeton, but you do have a point. How can you carry the population of the state, but yet lose the electoral votes? That needs to be fixed. But at some point, we have to put this stuff aside, you know, let the winner be the winner, let the loser be the loser, and then just come together and support the president with good ideas to guide our country. And one last thing, and one last thing, it's not just the presidential elections that are important. Your local officials are the ones that set the policy. You know, the people who get elected for the school boards, they set the policies, the congressmen, the senators, the mayors. Vote for those because that's going to directly affect you more and faster than just voting every 4 years for the president.
Yeah. Listen, I just want people to get out there and vote. I want them, you know, something that a lot of people don't have the right to do. And I'm proud to say that I've already voted. And you know, that I think the problem with the belief and stuff is that there are a lot of people, fortunately or unfortunately, again, depending on what your beliefs are, that don't believe the system. You know, and when there's a failure in the belief of the system, I think that's when you really start to worry. And I really have a legit fear. And I've had conversations with people about, are we going to, you know, fall into a civil war like after this election? Like, I really hope not. I really just, I hope whatever happens that we can figure it out. You know?
I'm just curious. I'm going to take a stab in the dark here, Patrick.
Yeah.
If there's a civil war, how do you see that coming about with who winning?
I'm going to Derek's house if there's a civil war.
No, I'm not. Okay, that's cool.
He's got an arsenal. So no, I'm just kidding.
But my question is, if Donald Trump wins, can you see a civil war? If Kamala Harris wins, can you see a civil war?
I could see a civil war both ways. There are so many people on both. Oh yeah, that are so on both sides of the aisle.
I agree.
That are so dug in and are so blinded either by their party or their beliefs or their personal fears that yeah, I can see that on either side. Absolutely. I could. Which is scary. It's scary. I you know, there's, and without, again, I you know, I don't want to get down a rabbit hole. Just there's so many loopholes that I feel like there are out there that just, like universal voter ID, like, you know, crazy things. Why can't we agree on what we agree on? You know what I mean? Like, I love the fact that we argue so heavily about the things that we're so divisive about, but the idea that you don't have to bring a proof of citizenship to vote, that's crazy to me.
So let me ask you this, Patrick. I guess, and I'm thinking on the fly here.
Yeah, go.
Do you argue about things that you're passionate about and accept, or do you argue things that you're not passionate about? Let's ask that way.
Probably not as hard. I mean, if I'm being honest, I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
So I feel, just as my own individual self, I feel like people who argue different points, they're arguing what's important to them. You know, so I personally feel like there's a bigger issue than voter fraud. I don't feel voter fraud, and to Greg's point, there was 60 cases, none of them stuck. Now, does that mean that it didn't happen? No one found that it happened.
Right.
So once again, when do we believe in our system? Only when it works for us, or do we believe in it totally? And I think that's the question.
I listen, that is a completely legitimate answer. I mean, how do you say, oh, you know, it's only rigged when it, I get that argument. I hear that completely. But let's just pretend for an instance that it does happen. I mean, if there's any opportunity to close a loophole, I don't understand why everybody isn't running through that opportunity to close that loophole. And I agree with you.
So then I ask you this. That would be a loophole that deserves to be closed. But is that more important? This is rhetorical. I'm not putting you on the spot like this. Is that more important than Soleil feeling like her existence is in jeopardy if this
No.
this person gets in office.
Well, I,
So
of course, want people to feel safe. That's important. I mean,
so therefore, Soleil's not going to be saying on the front lines talking about voter ID. She's not going to be talking about that. I'm not going to be on the front line talking about voter
I see what
ID.
you're saying.
I'm going to be talking about is my family going to be safe? Is my loved ones
Right,
going
the
to be
things
safe?
that are
Because
important and passionate.
we feel a lot of people, and I'm not speaking for everyone because clearly there was 2 other people on this show that felt differently. I feel that people of color is in jeopardy when you incite another group of people. So
And I hear you, brother. I mean, listen, and this is one of the many reasons why that we are as divided as I think that we are, is because there's a lot of fear out there. And as we've talked about before, there are things that I don't relate to, I can't relate to, doesn't make you any better or me any worse. It's just, the way that the life experiences are, I would just like our higher ups to once in a while go for an easy win. Let's agree on what we agree on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but see, here's the thing about that, Patrick. That's fair, but when people are feeling like there's a life or death conversation, you can't ask me to shelf that. Oh, forget that. Let's just talk about how we want to move forward in our country. We can't ask that. We can't, because before, I mean, there's a lot of things that I watched probably 15 or 20 interviews of Pastor Zoe today. And there's several things that he said that fundamentally I agree with. But then there's other things where that's really important that I don't, and I can't get behind. Does that make him a bad person? Not at all. Not at all. But that's kind of where we're at. But hey, I know we're
we're over. We're over.
So before we move on, I want to get you all's prediction as well. So Eric, we haven't heard much from you. Thank God. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what's missed from this show. Making fun of Eric. That's what was missing.
So, Eric, 2 things. Just answer the questions, please. Who do you predict? Not who do you want. Who do you predict is going to win on Tuesday or this next election? And do you think we're going to have the results on Tuesday?
I'm going to answer the second question first. No, I don't think we're going to have the results on Tuesday.
Okay.
I think that Trump is going to win.
Okay. Princeton?
I don't know who's going to win, to be honest, and I don't think we'll have I don't think we'll know Tuesday.
Patrick?
We should know Tuesday. We need to know by Tuesday. Will we know by Tuesday? Probably not. I think that's a joke that we won't. Oh man, my prediction. I mean, obviously, you know who I want. My prediction. It's interesting that Eric went with Trump, because I think I'm going to predict Harris. To be honest with you, I don't know that. I don't know. I just think I'm going to predict Harris. Unfortunately,
how about this? Say a white guy for Kamala and a black guy for Trump. Is that falling in with the theme of the show?
I didn't say I was for Harris. I just said that I think that that's what's going to happen.
Actually, I already got it recorded, so I'm just going to start sending that out.
So for me, my prediction,
it's tough.
I feel like it's tough to say what I'm going to say. It's not a tough question. For me, it's not. Listening to, and not to jump on or beat up, but it was said, it's recorded, it's out there. To listen to 2 men say that she can't be president because she's a she, that just is a indication. It's not a representation, but it's an indication on how so many people in this country still thinks.
I think a lot more people feel that way.
A lot more people feel that way.
That's their point,
though. It's a lot of people that feel that way, that a woman cannot lead our country. And there's also people, whether we want to admit it or not, that feel like a black person shouldn't be leading our country either. That it just is what it is. That's what they feel. So they just want to go with what 45 of the previous 46 presidents, what they've looked like. That's what a lot of people, us population, feels comfortable with. It just is what it is. So unfortunately, I do believe that Donald Trump is going to win. Obviously, also, it's not what I want to happen. And I also feel that we will have the results on Tuesday.
Really?
So to go into our next show, it's out of line here, but it's a perfect segue. Next Wednesday, we are going to talk about the current status of the election, whether we have a winner or not. We're going to have a conversation on that, and we'll see how that goes. So some people may be happy, some people may be sad, but we're going to come together and we're going to talk about it. So
one thing you'll never hear out of my mouth, not my president. You'll never hear that out of my mouth. And regardless of who is there, my daughter and my wife will watch the inauguration. That's just
because they're women and you're making them.
Yeah. Wow.
Damn.
Prince.
James, you have contaminated
that came out of your
man.
son's mouth. That came out of your
James,
son's mouth.
you have contaminated that young man. He used to be so nice.
Holy
he still
shit.
is. Yeah, that's accepted in this household.
Holy shit. No, true story though. My family will be watching regardless because it's important to teach my daughter to watch what happens. So I want to put that out there.
Yeah, we need a peaceful transition of power this election. We really do.
I mean, it's going to happen. It will happen.
I hope so. I hope so, man. I really do.
It'll be a peaceful.
It's I hate to say it, but a Democrat or Republican has never acted the way Donald Trump acted this last time. It's not going to repeat itself. Not in the current regime. It's going to be a peaceful transition of power. No doubt about it. If Trump gets in, then the question is, will it be a peaceful transition then? He hasn't shown that he's been able to accept losing. That's just fact, in my opinion.
No, I mean, well, you can't just say that's just fact in my opinion. That's kind of contradictory.
Well, I mean, that's my fact. That's my truth. I'll put it that way. That's my truth. I have not seen Donald Trump lose anything and accept it. He lost the election. He didn't accept it. He lost the trial. He didn't accept it. He doesn't accept it.
Can you put Shay's comment back up? Because I missed it. And I think I saw it. Teach your daughter, though. A woman can become president. I think they can. And I think the point that the Marines were trying to make is that it's not that she can't be president. It's that there are many countries across the world that are still throwing women, homosexuals off buildings and treating people like less than citizens, black people, Latino.
That's not all they said, though. That's not all they said. Derek flat out said that he had women superior officers that he did not respect. How you gonna twist that one, sir?
And I mean, listen, I'm not twisting anybody. I mean, and that's everybody's right to feel how they want to feel and whatever.
It is, but wrong is wrong, though.
But what makes him feel that a woman is not capable, like in the case in the military?
Because he's seen the disrespect from across the world and other world leaders. You're right, a woman can be president, but is it the best choice? I think is what Brian's saying, meaning are the other worlds like Iran and the people that are our biggest existential threat to us, are they the ones that are going to be, respectful of that or acknowledge that? I don't know the answer to that.
Well, the president of the United States wields a lot of power and a lot of authority. And if you go and you try to get into some sort of negotiations and you think that Kamala Harris is going to back down, you're crazy. She is not going to back down. She is the commander-in-chief, and that needs to be respected.
So here's another one. I'm going to follow a man into the battlefield over any woman any day.
I mean, in his personal experience, that's his right to feel that way.
But where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? Like, he very well could say, you know what, I'm not going to follow a black person. I'm not going to follow a short person. I'm not going to follow a Hispanic person. I'm not going to follow. Where do we draw the line in it being an ism?
But I'm not sure that that's your line to draw. It's his.
I don't agree with it, but I get that it. I guess it
it's
comes
his
down
line to draw.
Personal preference. I don't agree with it, but I could. And I do think sometimes the battlefield, if we're talking about a literal battlefield, you can kind of, that's a little bit different than civilian life. I will say that as well.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with it. But I could.
Am
see
I
why
saying that
someone
a
could think
female
way.
can't be in battle? No, I'm not saying that a female can't be in battle. But
They
from speaking
are
from
right
somebody who
now.
has been, oh yeah, absolutely. But speaking from a man who has been in battle and been in that position, he's earned that respect to have that opinion, is what I'm saying. We don't have to agree with it, but his personal experiences have taught him that, the same as your personal experiences have taught you that. That's all I think that we're trying to say. I mean, I absolutely think a woman can do and should be able to do any job that she's capable of doing, including being on the battlefield, including being a leader on the battlefield. You know, has Derek or Brian? I'm not really sure, to be honest. Have they ever had any female leadership? I'm not sure. Would they feel differently if they did? I'm not sure. Would I want saying what to my daughter? My daughter can be anything that she wants to be, including a Marine, including, no one's saying that she can't. Women lead with emotion. I mean,
Just pretty.
There's some men that are out here that are emotional. Hell, Donald Trump's emotional.
we all have emotions. We all have
Yeah.
emotions.
Yeah.
Listen,
Well,
I have a hard time. I don't want to. Go ahead, James.
No,
You can wrap
no,
up.
I was just gonna say what we said in the beginning. We're not gonna change anyone's mind. That's it.
But I do like to talk about it. I think it's important to talk
It's
about
to arm
it.
them with more information. So I'm pretty sure there was probably some aha moments that everybody on both sides of the panel had experienced today. A perspective on why I support this person or support that person.
I hope so.
They gave their reasons.
I
And
hope
like
so.
I said, at the end of the day, that's all we want. Are you going to change anybody's minds?
Right.
Likely not. But do you have a better understanding going out of the conversation that you did going into the conversation? That's the
Maybe.
point.
Yeah, I hope so. Like I said, I don't want to change any of your guys' minds.
I definitely learn things about people when we have these tough conversations. I learn more about people in these tough conversations than I learn about when we're talking about, I don't know, sports.
Fluff.
Right.
Fluff.
So yeah. So it is what it is. But just like it's his right or anyone's right to feel the way they do, I have a right to feel my way as well.
Of course you do. 100%. 100%. And I don't ever want to disparage. And I think where we kind of might have went off the rails a little bit is, we started talking about other people's opinions. I don't ever want to do that. I want to share my thoughts and be here to listen to other people's thoughts and try to be as respectful as I can. We disagree on plenty of things, guys, but as far as I'm concerned, you guys are stuck with me. So good luck.
Same here.
All right, Patrick, you got this day in history.
I do. Holy crap. Well, we talk. Do I get a big screen? Do I?
Nope.
What is happening?
I got
No,
you.
they
bud.
don't. That's Princeton's got the
screen.
wheel.
Whoa! Look at me. Look at me. Big face.
Oh, God,
All right,
go back.
This day in history. Okay, first of all, nobody cares that the World Series is on the background. This day in history, John Adams, October 30th, 1735. Do we know who John Adams is?
President, second president.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Not bad. He was an American statesman, attorney, diplomat, writer, and the founding father who served as the second president of the United States from 1797 to 1801. Okay, John, I believe, Quincy Adams, is that his name? John Quincy Adams, I believe.
I'm
Wasn't
just
he
not a
always-
pretty face.
Wasn't he also like the Secretary of Treasury or some shit going on? But happy birthday, John Adams. This day in history, you were born. Okay?
I thought you were saying John Lennon.
No. Imagine all the people.
So, you know what? Derek is asking a valid question. Can you carry a 200-pound man out of a building under enemy fire? No, she probably can't. But if she is trained to, then she could. I think a woman can do anything a man can do, probably even better, damn it.
I can't do that. I can't do that one.
Exactly.
Can I get out of this head
It's
screen?
good.
Listen, if she's put in that position, she better be able to carry out the 200-pound man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, if we just grab a woman off the street, then probably not. Like
You're
Prince
cooked
just
if you
said, he
grab
can't
me.
do it.
Listen,
They're
listen.
toast.
If you're a woman and you can do that, a 200-pound man, then let's go, brother. Come on, I'll ride behind you.
I don't need my president to be carrying 200-pound men either. I don't think think that's a requirement.
Yeah, I
If
didn't see that in the prerequisite. I didn't,
if
you know,
if
but
my president is actually out there in the battlefield, we are in deep,
We've
deep trouble.
gone
that's
we've
true.
gone off the deep end. We've
We're
gone the
we're
wrong
Well,
direction.
done. It's a
to
wrap.
Derek's point, he's not saying about a president. He's still talking about a woman in
In
the
the battlefield.
battlefield, and so yeah, I get his point.
Brotherhood. The brotherhood is what he's talking
I,
about.
I, what I mean, I shouldn't say I get his point. I know what he's talking about. I disagree with it, but I understand what he's talking about.
You
But
understand.
once again, I have to yield to a certain point to him. He's been possibly under fire. I don't know if he has or not. He served in the military. That doesn't mean he was in battle. I mean, he could have been counting paper clips for his
As
job.
far as I'm aware, he was in
So-
combat. Yeah, he was in combat. He'll be the
So
first
once,
to say he was in
yeah.
combat.
So and then I'm not dismissing. He was in the military, and one thing I know about the Marines is the job doesn't matter. You know, you're all are a soldier first. That's what I've been told. So I've never served. So respect to that, of course. You know, but I still just disagree that, you know, I mean,
And
yeah,
you're
Shay's not
absolutely
going to go
allowed to
carry
do
someone.
that. No, and listen, that's okay, but that's okay to disagree. That's what I think we need to understand as a country too. It is okay to disagree. It is okay to disagree.
Yeah.
You know,
And I feel like certain disagreements go a lot further than others, you know, and once again, that's what I spoke of in the past or just on this show. This particular person that's running, that's representing the Republican Party has evoked a lot of the emotion, and it comes from that. That's what my point was on that. But nevertheless, Patrick, you want to do Slay's sexy picks?
I mean, I can't do him as sexy as her, but whoa, full screen twice in one show. Look at this. Welcome to Patrick's Perfect Picks, the triple trifecta, the triple P trifecta. Listen, I did this a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how the hell I did, so check the tape for me. I think I went like 4-0. We're gonna call it that. I was a perfect.
Boo,
4.
way worse than Soleil. Soleil keeps track.
Whatever, dude. Whatever. Listen, I'm just a fill-in. Okay, I would never think of
You're a scab.
I would never think of replacing the sexiest segment of the show. Try saying that 10 times fast. Not really. All right, here we go. P. Will's perfect picks, Patrick's perfect picks, whatever. All right, we're going to go. First of all, I've got 3 picks. We're going to go Minnesota over the Indianapolis Colts. They are favored by 5.5 points. We are taking the Minnesota Vikings, Sam Darnold. We're taking Justin Jefferson over the Indianapolis Colts because his quarterback got tired. Okay, so that's Minnesota over Indianapolis. We're going also now Philadelphia Eagles over. Okay, you're
Keep going.
Comment.
Yep.
Philadelphia Eagles over the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Eagles are favored by 7.5 points. What is even a Jaguar? They traded away their left tackle. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's from Cartersville. But I don't know. He's got that surfer look, so I don't know how you'd be a surfer from Cartersville. So Philadelphia over Jacksonville. And then, of course, come on, guys. Bills Mafia. Of course, Bills Mafia over the lowly Dolphins. Okay, we're favored
Not biased
by
at all.
6. We're I'm a homer, bro. Listen, this is my segment, not yours. Okay, 6 points. We are favored 6 points. It's going to be much more than 6 points. Joshua Patrick Allen, let James Cook. How about that rookie Keon Coleman? We just wanted. How did you let Xavier Leggett, or not Xavier, whatever that? How do you let him get to
Worthy?
Xavier Worthy? How do you let him go to the Chiefs? Blah blah blah. Because he's quick and he's a criminal. No, I don't know that. I don't know. I was just kidding. Sorry, Worthy. Keon Coleman fits the bill. Fits the Buffalo Bills. That's all I got. Woo!
All right. On that note, you know, there's been a lot of stuff said on this show that's very interesting. And if any of us wanted to do this full time professionally, I'm not quite sure this show is going to be the one that's going to get us there. But
I'm a professional all the way, dude. I'm a professional all the way.
Prince, you got spitballer.
Perfect. All right. So I decided to do this one. This is going to be less of a little bit of a rant, but more so about with Halloween coming up tomorrow. I figured this would be a little bit of a Halloween tips, tricks, and etiquette. So this is for you parents that are going to have your kids out there tomorrow, getting them to go to the houses. If the house has a bowl in front of it and not just a person, tell your kid to take one, Come on now, don't be the parents with the kid who's bringing the bowl and dumping the whole thing into their bag. Come on, do better. You need to teach your kids to have some respect. Know there's some other kids coming from behind. Second, some tips this is for the kids. If there is a house that's handing out big candy bars, trick. 2 costumes. You got to circle back. So you get your first costume, you get the big candy bar, then you circle back with your second costume. That's how you can double up. Also tricks. This was a long time ago. I don't know if this will still work. When I was younger, when I was around 6 or 7, of course the times were a lot different. But I went into a Little Caesars. For trick or treating, and they didn't have anything there. And so instead of being rude, they gave me a whole pizza. I got an entire pizza for Halloween. So I'm not saying it'll work, but you never know. Give it a try. Go in there, you might get it. And lastly, I doubt any kids are watching this, especially with the topic and especially at the time it is. But just in case,
go to bed, damn kids.
Let me put you on game right now. The whole the parents asking for your candy because there's a razor blade in it. It's a lie. I'm just telling you, it's a lie. There hasn't been any documented cases of razor blades in candy. The only documented case of some tampering with candy was in 1970, some poisoning in a pixie stick, and it turns out it was the parents anyway. So there is no documentation of razor blades and candy. All they're doing is they're going to pull all your candy together. They're going to take out all the good stuff that they want first, so you can guarantee the Hershey's, the Kit Kats are going to be gone. You're going to be stuck with your black licorice. So don't let your parents get to your candy. And that's what I got for you.
You know, if we didn't have an agreement, I would have muted him because he was telling all the secrets.
Yeah, I learned the hard way. Half of my candy was always gone. All the good stuff.
Wait, are we not going to talk about the elephant in the room? Why does nobody like the black licorice?
I love it. I love it.
We're not talking about
beautiful,
that,
baby. Black is beautiful, baby. I don't know what it is.
Not when it comes to licorice.
Not when it comes to licorice, bro. That's like the worst shit in your mouth.
Yeah, that is disgusting.
That's worse than candy corn, bro. That's worse than candy corn.
No, candy corn is definitely worse. Matter of fact, I'm about to hang up and go get some black licorice right now. God damn it.
Get us out of here.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting show. But thanks for everyone tuning in. We got a lot of participation, a lot of views. So definitely hope this meant something to someone. So thanks everyone. See you all next week.